I want to share a story with you. It's quite a painful story for me. I've been trying to learn to surf since I was about 30 years old. I went to a bucks party, everyone was getting married at the time, 30, 31, 32. There was a lot of my friends getting married, and we went to this bucks party, and there's 12 of us there, and 11 of them can surf, and I can't surf. My childhood, I was like, we did a lot of skiing. I can ski really well. And of course, parabolic skis came in, and suddenly it's like, actually everyone can ski well. But surfing, now you are talking something difficult. This is a serious art form, and I've had it shared with me that those surfers, like true surfers, there's something about them. There's something that is an innate confidence because they have dialed in something that is very difficult. And the difference between, say, skiing or snowboarding and surfing, well, you get off the chairlift and suddenly the mountain's just there and you can just catch the chairlift and come down and come down and come down. But with the waves, like they're there for maybe 1/2 a second. Like the big waves are very short. Like you got to do the right moves at the right time very quickly. And if you miss it, then you not only get dumped, but then you have to swim back for like 20 minutes on the board, and then you get another chance. And so you might get 3 chances in this whole experience. And so I'm 43 right now, so 13 years. Last year, I finally had a breakthrough event. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get a private lesson. Now, look, I had... previous to this, I had thought that more reps would fix it, like more times just practicing, and then that's what I've been told. People are like, look, you just need to spend more time in the water. If you just go surfing day after day after day, you'll get it. Except that's not what happened. Like I tried group lessons, and yeah, look, I did not surf every day. There's no way that I did that, but it was just so frustrating. Like literally, I reckon I caught like 10 or 12 waves. Like I caught like 1 or 2 waves a year, and the rest of the time I'd fall down. I had no idea what I was actually doing when I actually got up. I'm like, wow, how did that happen? And it was just like so much work, so little outcome. I'm just like, this is ridiculously frustrating. And I basically had to come to the conclusion that I had no real idea what I was doing. So I decided to pay the money and just pay the money and get a private lesson. And so I go out with this awesome guy called Blake, and we go to the pass. This is quite a famous break if you've ever been to Byron Bay. Like it's the one. And when it's working, I mean, you're looking at 100, 120, 150 meter rides. It's an amazing spot. Now, we went out and it wasn't on fire, which was fine. And he really helped me catch a lot more waves. He's like, move here, move here, move here, move here. We go through this whole lesson, and he's like, dude, you can surf. Like I got up on a couple. And he's like, you can surf. I was like, well, what the heck's going on? He's like, mate, your back knee is going down. When you get up, your back knee goes down first. I'm like, what? And he's like, yep, and you'll never surf anything more than the pass. Like 2 foot at the pass, you can surf with the back knee going down first. But to go beyond that, to go to 3 foot, 4 foot, steeper, faster waves, like we're not talking Maui here. We're not talking Jaws. We're just talking like, if you're a surfer, like a 4 foot wave, a 6 foot wave has a huge amount of power. I mean, I look at these guys on Jaws, I'm like, what the heck are you guys doing? Like they're 20, 30, 40 foot waves. The amount of power in those, it is unbelievable to me. Like if you're not a surfer, you might just think that that's something, whatever. But I want to tell you that the power in a 4 foot wave is scary. Like if you don't know what you're doing, like I often, for 12 years, I don't know what I'm doing. 4 or 5 foot waves are scary. Like it's like, oh my god, I'd go up over and then drop down and up. I'd go under. It was wild. So anyway, I pay the money. It's $160. $160. And he goes, you'll never surf with your back knee. And finally that problem is identified. I didn't know. I had no idea that my back knee was going down, or that this was a problem, or that this had to be fixed, and that I had no way of getting better. And just practicing doing that back knee down all the time, over and over and over, it's just not going to change anything. It's not going to fix the problem. Doesn't matter how many times I went surfing, until it was brought to me to say, dude, your back knee, you got to fix that. And then I went on this little journey. Like, at least I identified the problem, and I then spent about 4 to 6 weeks daily trying to practice this, and I couldn't get it. Like, I was doing all sorts of weird things. I'm like, God, how do you land these two things? And I'm at a kirtan. I'm at my own kirtan. I'm running Friday night, and one of my friends comes up, and I'm complaining about this thing. It's like, I just don't know how to do the pop. And he like goes down and goes, oh, like this, and literally lies on the floor and lands his 2 feet. And I'm like, oh man, you just did it. Clearly it is possible. Clearly it is possible to land 2 feet at once. And as soon as I saw him do that, I was like, okay, I got this. I got this. And the next day I'm popping, and suddenly I'm landing 2 feet, and I'm starting to get it. And I just do that daily. I'm not even in the water. Like, literally not in the water. I'm just on my back veranda. 20 pops every morning. Pop, pop, pop. Land the 2 feet. Land the 2 feet. Land the 2 feet. And I go out surfing, and suddenly I'm surfing. Like, I'm landing 2 feet. Now, not all the time by any means. I'm ungainly. I'm goopy. I'm like, just like, but the 2 feet are landing, and I'm like, okay, yes. And I come off it. I went out to down where I lived near Broken Head, and Thor wasn't there, just in case you're wondering. But no Thor, just me. Caught like 15 to 20 waves. Let's call it 15, and landed 3 super sweet. I'm like, oh yes. And I jump off the wave, and underneath the wave I do like these celebrations. Yes! It's so cool. So cool. So look, the outcome of this investment was that I found the actual problem, that my back knee was going down first. And then the reps that I did, the practice that I did, actually made a difference for me going out to surf. And so the real problem of this is that, why didn't I do that 12 years ago? And yes, look, $160 to me today and $160 at 30, it's like, okay, well, let's call it $500 for my 30-year-old self. It's like, okay, this is a decent investment. It's $160, but to me, that's like a $500 investment. And there's no guarantee. Like, there was no guarantee that he was going to pick the problem. But when I did get that, I was just like, oh man, that was dumb. That was pretty stupid not to have invested in the private lessons the whole time. And do you know what's even worse? I haven't gone back for another private lesson. This is very embarrassing. I'm like, that is not the smartest, Tom. Go get some more private lessons, because I got to tell, this surfing thing is something else. Like, wow, it is incredible. It is incredible rush. Like, it's an art form. It's a feeling thing. I had one of my patients once, and he was like, he's a glider. He flies these gliding planes, and he'd taken people up, and he says he gives them the controls, and the only ones he said that could do it straight away were surfers, because there's this connection between the board and the water and myself, and I only get like a glimpse of it, but I see the surfers, and I see the happiness and the rush and the experience, and I'm like, oh my goodness, they are in the moment. They are absolutely present with that experience. It's kind of a meditation. Like, if you've done meditation, you've entered into that bliss zone, I'm pretty sure that the surfers are there. When they are they're not thinking about bills, they're not thinking about their kids, they're not thinking about anything other than like being fully present. It is a default state that you are fully present. And the thing about the ocean is it can mess me up. Like, it can like rogue waves suddenly appear, like they're going to break, and it's a rogue wave out of nowhere, and it's like, oh shit, I gotta paddle now, paddle, otherwise I'm gonna get messed up. And so this experience of presence is very strong. But I want to bring it back and just say, look, what did I take? What did I learn out of this? Because there's this idea that how I do one thing is how I do all things in my life. And so the first thing was that I had to own that I had a problem. Like, I'm like, this surfing thing, 12 years, I'm not getting better. There is something wrong. I don't know what it is. I'm going to have it. Let's just get the lesson. Let's just get the lesson. I did not know that he was going to tell me the problem. But I figured I didn't have much else. I'm like, all right, look, I just got to go get this lesson. So first of all, I've got to realize that I've got a problem. And then secondly, I've got to do something about it. I actually have to book the lesson, pay the money, show up, take the lesson, and listen and hear to get that insight. Next up, then the reps go in and do the work of actually fixing this thing, like the 4 to 6 weeks of getting it wrong and then having the guy show me. I'm like, oh, great. Okay. And then realizing that I could have paid $160 12 years ago. It was probably cheaper. It was probably like $120, inflation and all that stuff. But if I had realized that I could pay someone who's already solved these problems, then that would have been very valuable. And this is playing out for me in acupuncture. Like, I'm a doctor who does acupuncture. I went through my training 2013, and that was off being inspired or being like drawn to my experiences with TJ. Like, TJ's acupuncture, like, if you're on Maui, you should do everything that you can to get a appointment with him. Now, it is very difficult to get an appointment with him. He's like, dude, I'm full, but there's a reason for that. Like, just like that surfers who know what they're doing, TJ on the needles, whew, like, it is good. So that what's going on for me might be going on for you in your needle skills. Like, perhaps you have to own that you are undertrained in needles. Like, I am undertrained in needles. I did a 1-year course because I'm a doctor, and doctors who do acupuncture in this kind of weird world of, like, we're not fully trained acupuncturists, but we're not straight doctors, like just straight Western doctors. And so it's kind of like being attacked on both fronts. And so it ended up being very scientific, and here's the paper that shows that acupuncture works, and here's the changes in the brain, or here's the gate theory of where the substance P interacts with the stuff. And so it was a very, very academic approach. And then actually coming to patients, though, was like, oh my goodness. So maybe you had to have that experience and realize, like me, I'm undertrained in needles. And the best thing for me is to find someone who knows what they're doing. Like my Blake, who's a surfer, who's like, dude, your back foot. TJ is that for acupuncture. He is that for acupuncture. Like, my life 100% changed when I took table shiatsu. Like, that course alone absolutely transformed my experience of acupuncture in ways that acupuncture, I've been interested in acupuncture since 2005. Like, that's the first time when I visited TJ in Portland. I'm like, what the heck are you guys on? I didn't even make it just seemed to me that Chinese medicine led to more experiences of being in flow or being in the zone. And I was very interested at that time in how to enter into those states. I'd had them during sport. I'd been playing tennis and had like 4 or 5 games where I could do no wrong. Like, the balls just landed there, the serves were sweet, and then I got kicked out. And I was like, oh, okay, you guys seem to be there a lot more. And I got interested in Chinese medicine. And then once I started getting acupuncture with him, I'm like, whoa, I'm falling in love with this stuff. And unfortunately, unfortunately, I don't know, I had to work out as a doctor how I could get licensed, and I finally get licensed, and then I find it's way harder. Like, I am undertrained. And then this changed 2019 when we went over, I went over and 4 other students went over, and we learnt table shiatsu. And TJ's taught this course like 20 times. He's smooth on it. Where we were rough is a little on the recording side. There's some glitches and that kind of stuff. But the overall insights, this experience was 100% transformational about how I did acupuncture, how I saw the body, how I saw pathology that people have. Like, it is, and it's not even acupuncture. That's the crazy thing. Like, Who would have thought? I didn't think this, that the solution to my acupuncture problems was in Shiatsu, in learning Shiatsu. Why? Because it's a palpation of the meridians. It's the gross anatomy of the meridians. It's moving from this idea of lines on a body. It's like, well, what are those lines? They're randomly drawn? Oh no, that's actual gross anatomical structures. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is breakthrough level. Like this. And suddenly acupuncture started making sense. Why? Because I sat in a plane. Like I didn't have to pay $160. I had to pay like $1,000. So I think the course is, and that went into all of the production side. So I paid for all the production side for me to be on that course, and I sat in an airplane for like 14 hours. Like it's a long way from where I live to Maui. Like, and it's now longer because of COVID. I can't even get there. I mean, seriously. Australia has these really strict rules. It's like, yeah, you can't go to Maui, Tom. There's no amount of money that you can pay. Maybe there is. Maybe there's like these special people that can pay, or they can get private jets or something. But, you know, right now Australia is in like, you can't leave. So my chances of getting Maui are very small. But it used to be that I could drive 2 hours to Brisbane, sit around the airport for 2 hours, then fly 10 and a half hours to Honolulu, another 2 hours there, grab some chow mein, I think it's called. Good Chinese in Honolulu. Eat the Chinese, then jump on the 45-minute flight across to Maui. And I would arrive and I would be on Maui, and it would be like, oh my God. And then typically on the table as soon as possible. I'm like, dude, just chuck me on the table. And so a lot of my recent acupuncture has just been jet lag recovery. And it's 100% worth it. It's 100% worth it to not only be on the table with TJ, but to have learnt this stuff. So if this is something that you are interested in, perhaps you're like, you know what, Tom, you are right. I am undertrained in acupuncture, and you want to get better. Like, that's a critical thing. If you don't mind where you are, that's cool. Just keep going with what you're doing. But if you want to actually know where acupuncture can go, and like, it is an art form that goes deep. It goes very, very, very deep. Like, whoa, my goodness. It's pretty cool. If that's something that resonates with you, then head over to bhaktiatsu.com. I mean, jump on the website. Go watch some of the trainings. If you want to sign up for Table Shiatsu, it's a 5-week course. It is very good, and it literally it transformed my acupuncture because I could find the points. I'm like, oh my goodness, wow! Look at this very clear difference between liver 8 and spleen 9. There is no longer any doubt. Like, if you're not sure whether you're on kidney 10, spleen 9, or whether you're on liver 8, like you're just kind of like, I hope it's somewhere around there. Table Shiatsu takes away that problem and it opens up this whole new world. So head over to bhaktiatsu.com. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this video. Look forward to seeing you on another video very shortly.